Kelly.
Hi, Hayley.
And hello to those of you watching A Measure of Marketing, episode 2, all about personal branding.
Let's go. So, confession, I'm going to say it. Me and Hayley have spoken about this topic a lot. There's a lot to add into this, isn't there? And I think we come from a place of having worked in bigger organizations that is doing organizational brand, and then lots of employees at a time, probably not doing their own like profile branding as much as we do now, versus then us both being solo entrepreneurs and always thinking about personal branding and our organizational brand and how they merge, and talking to clients about doing that too, and getting through blockers and barriers of our own and for them. There's a lot in it. So we have spoke about it at length. And yeah, I want to give back and give value, don't we, to people that are listening, and help them to understand what personal branding is and what they can be doing to raise their own profile, and how we do our own at the same time. So we're going to share that today.
Yes, we are.
So the importance of personal branding, we'll talk about that first. Why is it important to raise your own profile, no matter what type of organization that you have, I guess, to start with? What do you think?
I think that I wish I'd have known 20 years ago how important it was to raise my profile as well as supporting my organization's profile. So there's the knowing that, and then us getting into the why it's important. For me, it's important because an organization has this force, it has this entity, it has this kind of logo, and it has this branding, which people do trust to a certain extent, and that they get that trust from content and consistency and clear messaging. But equally, they get that trust from people. And I think one of the key things that you and I have discussed about the importance of personal branding is that people buy from people. And I think raising personal brand is key for that. It works hand in hand. And I think if I'd have known 20 odd years ago, even though I'm not a salesperson, I don't work, in sales, but I wish I'd have prioritized my own personal branding to just raise my own profile within the industries I worked in. But also, just for me, I wish I'd have started a blog, or I wish I'd have been a bit more vocal on LinkedIn about what matters to me, and building a story about who I am to support and to reflect, the work I was doing with the companies I was working for.
Yeah, and I guess it's almost like not just building your personal brand, like to get out there, to be seen, to be headhunted, or whatever the term was back then and now. It's also, I use it as an opportunity to just say how I feel about certain topics, or share, help others. Like, essentially, if you think about LinkedIn, you scroll through it hoping that you'll see something that either makes you feel good, that you learn from. And that's one of the, if I touch back on why am I doing this, if I have a struggle day, that's the reason why. Like, what can I share that might help somebody else today, or help to educate them? The sales bit for me is definitely secondary. Sharing about my services, it's more, what can I be doing to help other people out there, make their lives a little bit easier. But I agree with you. I think about big organizations that I've worked at, and we were focusing, prioritizing all of the organizational messages. But imagine if all of those people that worked in that organization were raising their own profile, talking about the things that were important to them, linked back to the business and the products and services, how much more you could raise a business. Like, that would be incredible if you had thousands of people really advocating the brand that they worked for. Like,
and it would,
amazing.
I agree. It is amazing because it works hand in hand with employee advocacy and,
Mhm.
that second client advocacy. It's gold dust. And if you can create that engagement across your business where everyone is bought into the brand and advocates it because they want to, there's something really special about that. But I think it's just that realization that if if you're working for the right company and everything aligns, then it's just natural that you'll want to talk about what you're doing as
Yeah.
part of raising your own profile.
Yeah. And I think there's, just from my own examples of working for larger organizations, I think we'll cover this in another topic, in another episode, because it's also a big one. The importance of getting that culture right, that's mind blowing for me when I think back to the big organizations I've worked for, getting that culture right for then people to be confident to have their own voice whilst like tagging in the brand, supporting the brand is, yeah, another massive topic. But if you think then, if you take it back to being a solo entrepreneur or a small business where you've got a team of maybe less than 10, just that opportunity to like grab everybody and raise them up so they are shouting about your brand. You've got another essential 10 or 9 marketing people there for you for
Yeah.
free if you can get them on board and they're loving what they're doing, they really stand behind the brand mission purpose. And then if you're a solo entrepreneur, that's you by yourself. Like that's something you, for me, should be doing every day on some channel. Like, yeah, sharing
Yeah.
your thoughts, raising your awareness about what you do, who you are, helping other
Yeah.
people.
And I think in support of that, I think whether it's a large organization or small organization, empowering your teams to raise their profile, there's a marketing piece there, but also there's developing that person and raising their profile and building their personal and professional development so that they learn as well, and to be able to put themselves out there and drive their own confidence and empowerment as to who they are. Works hand in hand. They're going to learn, they're going to be able to develop, they bring that back to the business. It's a fluid, I suppose, kind of thing. So I think there's a lot of boxes that personal branding ticks, whether you are a big organization, a small or an entrepreneur. And we'll come on to the different types of people that we think should be raising their profile and our experiences of the clients we've worked with to do that. But I suppose there's different ways, isn't there, of raising your personal brand. And I think we do it slightly differently, and maybe it's worth just going into detail a little bit about how or what we do to raise awareness of who we are as people.
Yeah, I think this conversation is, again, and we chatted last week about this, didn't we? But it's made me think about how I do my own and if I might change it. But I guess the most important thing is why am I going to change it? Not for the purposes of always me, but is it right for the people I'm trying to talk to? So so for me, I think about, I've just had my website redesigned. Thank you to Beth. It's very nice, beautiful. I think about, so I've designed that website alongside Beth, based on making sure it's very reflective of me. So when you land on there, you get an idea of what I am like. And hopefully, the words that I use, little sign off, the colorway, that sort of. When I built my brand, I really tried to tap into my intuition about it. So it's very reflective of me. So I'm very conscious of people hopefully coming to my website and seeing that they don't know me. And then I'm quite similar on my LinkedIn business page to my website. Keep it very branded. I still talk in the same way as my website talks, a little bit more professional than I probably am in person. And then my personal LinkedIn, I lead from that majority of the time. I talk openly about the services that I have, different packages, scenario storytelling, how to do keyword research, educational stuff, sharing and commenting and helping other people and bigging other people up. So yeah, that's like LinkedIn, my website, and then Instagram is my trouble area, to be honest. It goes directly to my Facebook page, which I don't do a lot on Facebook. It's something that I might do in the future, but my Instagram is kind of similar to my LinkedIn content, but more like video, sometimes a little bit more funny in some cases, bringing my cat into it sometimes, yeah, but I'm not as active on there as I probably should be, but that's a different conversation.
Okay, so you have different purposes, different language or communication styles for the different channels.
Yeah,
I said that twice, for different audiences, so to speak.
Yes, so I'm conscious that on LinkedIn it can be small businesses, it can be solo entrepreneurs, but there's large business owners on there too. On Instagram, I talk mostly just to small business owners. I don't really touch on how I can like parachute into a marketing team and take on projects. I focus just on talking to a small business owner, how I can help you, giving you a little tip here and there, my marketing mentoring, that sort of stuff. And I do similar on Facebook as well to what I would on Instagram.
So it's quite a nice takeaway actually for people, whether it's a personal brand or whether it's an organizational brand, is remembering that there's no one size fits all. There are different channels, different audiences, and different ways of communicating, because I think that gets kind of lost in there. Oh, I'm going to do a blog post, and then the post for social is the same on LinkedIn and Insta, and actually it's not. It's crafting content and communications that fits the bill for each one.
Yeah.
Okay, that was just a side takeaway that I thought was worth highlighting. Okay.
What do you do? How different?
So my website is fairly formal, but I've started to add in a little bit of informality just so that it reflects who I am. That whilst I'm a professional person, but equally I'm quite approachable and friendly. So I don't want my website to come across as if it's kind of textbook marketing, because it's not how I am. So I suppose I rely on social media to probably raise my profile more than anything else. And LinkedIn company page that I've got for Maisie Marketing shares content and updates, shares client work, and is almost like a second website for me. But
I like that.
I sort of refer to it rather than we or us or our. I will tag Hayley and say she and her, because it is kind of an entity to a certain extent, but it's still me, and it's me that people invest in. So that's more LinkedIn company page. My LinkedIn profile, I tend to share and engage with that company profile, but more raising a bit more of my personality, I suppose, and sharing things that are helpful, useful, top tips, takeaways, stories, so that people can actually see the person that I am rather than more of the entity of Maisie Marketing. I don't use Facebook for my work or for anything like that. Twitter or X I am on, and I suppose there's a connection to Maisie Marketing, but I don't really use it to raise my personal brand. But Instagram, I use that differently to you. You're very good at sharing marketing messages to raise your expertise and levels of your experience, whereas I use Insta much more to share personal, professional stuff. So you'll find stuff about what interests me, be it food, skincare, my cats, my dog, where I've gone for a walk. It's not often, but what I want, if people land on my website or the LinkedIn company page, they can actually see a bit more about who Hayley is, and more about my personality.
Yeah.
And the reason I said I use social media to focus my efforts on my personal brand is I should do more when it comes to events. I should actually get out and go into Sussex, go into Brighton or Eastbourne and do that networking bit. But I actually find it really forced. I find it really hard. And so whilst I don't hide behind social media because I'm very much putting myself out there, and that takes confidence, I find that hard. I find it even harder to go and put myself in a room and be me and it not feel false. I haven't quite conquered that. And I know I have colleagues and clients that can just take to it instantly. But yeah, I struggle a little bit there.
Yeah, I forgot to say about that. I relate to the struggle. I think I go through a bit of like up and down with the visibility front with networking. Just when you get quite busy as a solo person, you're trying to fit everything in, aren't you? So I recently went back to networking after Christmas, and I felt a bit more relaxed about it, actually. I went in with the view of not talking about my stuff and asking about someone else's and helping people in the moment with their marketing queries, which is visibility and profile raising in itself, isn't it? I think you can go to networking and do it similar to like LinkedIn, really. You can either go in, talk just about your promotional stuff or you can go in and educate and solve problems and show people that you're there. Like if you was to put your Calendly link or your diary link on a post, get people to put some time in your diary. There's lots of different ways.
I agree.
I saw something today. I like your approach with Instagram, though. I feel like the platforms where like Linktree, where you can bundle up all of your different platforms.
Yep.
From a visibility perspective, personal branding, you can be really obvious and say, like, get to know more about me, and it go through to your Instagram. I was looking on an agency's website earlier today. Client friend shared it with me, and they use their Instagram just as a portfolio page. So I like that. I went on it and I was like, I can see what their strategy is here, and it was really visual, nice. They were graphic design, branding, and it worked. It was really visual, and it made me think, I should probably have done that in some way. I wish I could do that. Had something to really show. And
I think that's the hardest thing with marketing. Like I've got friends who are designers, graphic designers, and they have stuff to show. And I think it's really difficult with marketing, especially for us to raise awareness of who we are when you can't necessarily showcase or demonstrate
it's difficult.
What's in our head, because most of it's confidential because you're working with strategy and business and everything else. So you actually have to really think outside the box when it comes to personal brand.
It is tricky.
Yeah,
it is tricky to do. What was one of the other points? We was going to talk about clients as well, like different clients that we work with, different approaches, like the advice that we give to clients as well.
Okay. I can give a few examples of some of my experiences. So I've had one client who really didn't know how to approach using LinkedIn to raise awareness of who they were. And so I just started them off really slowly by actually just getting stuck in, but in a very slow and calm way. And we went through, why do you want to make yourself more aware of who you are and what you do? And it was basically putting themselves out there to be a bit more visible as the face behind multiple brands. And so my sort of tips were start liking stuff and just start to, get used to the feed, get used to how to search for things. And then we moved on to recommending to comment and create some conversation, which is the best way of using LinkedIn. And that's what it's all about. It's social. and then some reshares, reposts. And then we got to the point where it was, okay, let's originate a post and put yourself out there and share some ideas. So it was a real slow process, just sort of like, a few minutes every day, just get stuck in. I've then got a client who you can't keep them off LinkedIn. They're so confident, so assertive, so extrovert, and they utilize it so well. And they really put themselves and their character and their personality across. And actually what that does for the business is brilliant, because it really demonstrates who they are as a team, what they stand for, and you really see what you're going to get and who you're going to work with, and it's brilliant. And I think that is the importance for me of this people buy from people, whether you're a salesman, whether you're the MD, the CEO, you're head of a production team, or whatever it is that you do, the stuff that you produce, putting yourself out there, you're almost bridging that gap between the potential customer and new business, or retained business, or a speaking opportunity that can lead to new business. And I think that to me is the importance. That's the driver behind doing it, the why and the purpose for most of my clients is to be visible, get out there, and be a face of an organizational brand.
Definitely.
That's a couple of examples, two kind of very opposites.
I've got clients that will do be so consistent every day. We've got content pillars, or like topics that we talk about every day, like loosely, like themes. And one client does it really well, where they pull from their clients, and we've got a document where we just plow all of the insights in, and then we regurgitate the post while speaking from her own perspective, being a thought leader in the area where she works. Some are really confident in adding really personal posts in there as well. So similar to me, I'm not just talking about my services, marketing stuff, educational stuff. I'll add in something a little bit so people get to know me and what I do outside of marketing. I try and weave it back, so it's not just some random post and it throws the algorithm off. And then I have clients where they'll just post off their business page, but they're out and about, and they focus on the networking and the partnership side of it and the in-person stuff. They prefer to do that, and that works for them and that type of business that they're in. So I think there's an element of overall knowing what you want to do and standing by that as a strategy to build your personal brand and your visibility, but also like tapping into that place of fear sometimes as well. I do think you do, if you're working with other business owners, I do think you need to be on LinkedIn. I think it's really important to be out there, and if you're not posting regularly, to at least be there, connect with people, do it in the DMs, comment, share, like raise people up, share the love on the channels. I think it's an easier platform to do it on as well. It feels a bit more community. But yeah,
I'm the opposite. I find Instagram is really community orientated, and people like really want to raise you up and support you as a person. And yet I find on LinkedIn, not any conversations, but most conversations I have, maybe it's me, I'm kind of met with, I don't know, it doesn't necessarily continue. It doesn't become, it feels a bit, I don't know. Sometimes I think LinkedIn can just become a platform for shouting about what you've done and who you are, rather than generating conversation for wholesome good. Like it can almost become just a thing you have to do. And I think the algorithm doesn't help with that, and people being obsessed with the algorithm and all that. And I think it's just doing something, and just whatever you're confident with, whether it's a video or whether it's saying where you've spoken or whatever. But yeah, I find it a bit differently. But yeah, maybe that's me.
I don't think it's you, Hayley. Yeah, I think that also the face-to-face thing is important as well. I do, particularly if you're a small business owner, but then it depends on what your strategy is. If you want to build a business in a community in a small area, then yes, getting out into that area and meeting people and building partnerships up with different people is important. You can't do that if you've got a UK-wide strategy where you want to be visible. There's other ways to do that, isn't there? And that digital approach is obviously needed there.
Yeah, I think it's if you've got a person who's in a role specifically to raise their profile for the benefit of the organization, and that's your strategy, that's your technique to be able to drive new business, because they're out there, you know, they're gathering the insights, they're having those conversations, and it's a two-way thing, isn't it? Insights and ideas for marketing and everything else. But I know of a colleague who her role is to put herself out there, go and speak and to raise awareness of what they do for the sake of the organization. And that's just what she does, you know, and, you know, she raises her profile and her personal branding at the same time. So it's quite clever that's that role that's been created for her.
How big is the organization?
Small. It's not a big entity, but it's a way of generating conversations and opportunities to further their work and get new clients. And I often look on with envy because she's got such confidence with what she does in Sussex. It's it's nice to know of her. What she does.
That's good. I like that. And I guess that makes me think then, like, if you're a solo entrepreneur, that is your role plus the MD's role, plus you're a social media person, plus you're running the service, client facing, customer service, like
it's everything, isn't it? It's the juggle, and
it's a lot.
And if it is just you, it's deciding, okay, well, do I just go down the personal branding route? And I know this is probably another episode entirely, whether it's a personal branding route and organizational route that you raise awareness of if you're a one-person band. You know, and there's, as we touched on in episode 1, there's so many blockers and barriers that you have to remove when it's just you, of putting yourself out there with no logo to hide behind and everything else. As a solopreneur, I think it's really hard to juggle all of that. How people do it, I don't know. They just must work a lot longer hours than what we do.
We're making it work.
We're
You definitely are. You've been doing it for 7 years.
It's time, though. It does take time.
It does take time.
Consistency and clarity behind what you do. And there's days where I don't have it. I haven't nailed it. I haven't got it as good as the next person at all. There's some weeks where I just don't know what to do, and I just think, well, do what's natural. I don't force anything. So that's why some weeks I won't post anything, and then other weeks I will, because it just comes to me. And I think if you've got nothing to say, then don't say anything, because actually you're just going to jar what you're trying to do, or the personality you're trying to be, you have, rather than what you're trying to.
I think there's definitely an element of overthinking it, for sure. Like you've got stuff to say, you've got a lot of knowledge. It's that times when the emotion takes over the logic, and you just overthink the words that you're either trying to type, or being in front of strangers at a networking event, even, like, I agree. I think it was based on, as well, the strategy that you have. As a solo entrepreneur, like, having a strategy, and if you want to, like, raise your profile in a certain area of the country, you keep going at that and be consistent with it. And it does take time. You have to let the compounding effect take place, I think, with personal branding as well. Like, I don't mean it from like gain all of the followers or gain all of the connections. It's about having the quality relationships, and then I will champion you, you'll champion me, and then my other clients will champion me as well, and I'll do the same for them. Like, you constantly, the compounding effect is you thinking of somebody else and passing the name on, and
yeah,
that's the visibility as well. Like, we forget the other elements of visibility, don't we? That I know that as soon as I started to share on LinkedIn, I built friends up through LinkedIn, or the work has come from them friends and other connections that I've got, and that's visibility in itself.
Yeah, and I think you know, with it's the traditional account management, isn't it, of just being consistent about who you are, and it pays off. You know, there's a reason why those referrals come about, and it's not always something that's seen. It's the way that a brand makes you feel, or the experience that you've had. And it's no different with personal branding. It's how you exited a client contract, how you finished a job, or how you had a conversation with someone one day that made them think, oh yeah, she would be great, I'd love to work with her. Oh, did you know so and so? And it snowballs from there. So I think even if you're not proactively doing anything with your personal brand, you're still raising it with every conversation that you have, every touch point, no different than an organizational brand. And to have the two, and to have that balance so that people gain that trust from you as an entity and as a person, I think so important. And why I think, if you can harness that personal brand more than you probably are, even if you just push yourself a little bit more, there are certainly benefits, I think.
Definitely. Very many benefits. And I think just it takes time as well. Is my time and deeper relationships is
yes
is my
I'd agree with that. And my thinking would be consistency and consistency and just being you, I think, as well. And actually you've either you'll either have a good personal brand, or you won't, by being you, or being who you are. But you've kind of just got to own it, I suppose.
And I think we spoke about this before, just knowing the real deep reason why you're doing what you're doing. And more often than not, if you want to help other people out of your service and your organizational strategy, brand, purpose, etc., you're not going to go wrong if that's what you're serving every day.
You're tethered to your why and your purpose, and you're driven by that, then it will come a lot easier to you. You get excited about it, don't you? And then you have much more to say because you're passionate about it. You can't really make that up. It's just something you have to bottle.
Done.
We could go on forever, and I think it was hard enough to come up with such a framework for this amount of time. So I think we've done good.
Well done, Hayley.
Thank you. Well done, Kelly.
Thank you to everybody who has tuned in and listened to us today. We hope you got something out of this conversation. We'll be back for episode 3. I'm not sure what we're going to do it on yet. I think we need to chat about that. We've got a whole list, haven't we? I've got some ideas, but and thanks to everybody who commented as well on episode 1 and sent us messages, because it helped us to build this episode. And we'll be doing the same for episode 3. I'm sure we'll just wait for people to tell us what to talk about.
It's quite nice actually that we've had that engagement. Good. So
that's good. I'll see you next time.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.